Hey there guys, SaintsKnight here. Welcome you guys back to the channel here with another episode of the F1 show. That's right, this weekend is the start of the 2019 season of Formula 1. One of my favorite motorsports, or one of my favorite sports ever, period. Why? Because, well, those of you who know me, will know that I like my cars, and if you haven't seen the F1 show before, what it basically is whenever there's a Grand Prix on, or whenever there's like an F1 sort of related thing for me that's on, I would usually give like my analysis and keep you guys up to date on what happened in it. But this episode, because usually these would be like whenever the weekend is over. However, the weekend hasn't started yet for F1, so what I thought I would do is I would actually take this time to actually recap you guys from about all that's like new in the world of Formula 1 for the 2019 season, and give my predictions for the actual season itself, like who'd win, what team would actually be where, and some interesting ones. So without further ado, let's dive in. Ladies and gentlemen, if you do want to keep seeing these videos, the F1 show on the channel, you know what to do. Don't forget to smash the thumbs up button. So without further ado, let us dive in and let me tell you a little bit about this season, where literally a lot has changed over the past like several months, whenever like F1's been off. Actually, it's changed in fact so much that nearly every single team on the track has actually changed drivers. Apart from Mercedes and Haas, I believe, every single other team has changed at least one driver in their lineup. Who are these new drivers, let me ask? Let's start with one of the top dogs, Ferrari. Now, last year's lineup was Sebastian Vettel and Kimi Räikkönen. More on Räikkönen later, but Räikkönen's actually gone to Sauber, or what is now known as Alfa Romeo Racing, and as a result, that it actually means that my prediction was actually absolutely top-notch, 100% right. That Sauber superstar Charles Leclerc actually is is now an official Ferrari driver, doing what his godfather Jules Bianchi never did: be a driver for Ferrari. Which that is kind of cool, because his godfather, as I said before, was Jules Bianchi, whose like top number one ambition was to be a Formula 1, not a Formula 1 driver, but a Ferrari Formula 1 driver, like on the car lineup. But unfortunately, he passed. He didn't pass away. He died in a racing event, and that meant that he died. Well, he could be in. So his godson, Charles Leclerc, now has a seat in Ferrari. As well as Ferrari actually changing, another top team that's actually changed is Red Bull. Now, Red Bull lost one of their drivers, Daniel Ricciardo. Well, they didn't lose him. Ricciardo actually left. There's a whole thing about it on the documentary F1 Drive to Survive, I think, on Netflix, which I would definitely recommend if you guys are fans of Formula 1, because it recaps the 2018 season. Anyway, free promotion for Netflix aside, that means that with Ricciardo gone, there's now a hole for another driver to come in. That's where Pierre Gasly from Toro Rosso actually now enters, along with my favorite from last season, Max Verstappen, completing with Renault. It's going to be an interesting one for them, because they switched engines. As you guys know, Red Bull actually had some problems with their engine. Renault, who actually supplied it, and they couldn't actually Red Bull actually couldn't give their feedback to Red Bull on how they actually wanted their engine. Renault just went, here's your engine, take it or leave it, or get the fuck out of our way. Well, we spent all our time actually putting the money into actually beat you guys. So Christian Horner, the team manager over Red Bull, just went, nope, we've had enough. We're switching to Honda. Now Honda is bold. That is a bold move. Reason why? You know who else has a Honda engine? McLaren. And we all know how McLaren is these days. So, whether this gamble will actually work for them or not, I have no idea. We'll have to see in Melbourne and the rest of the season to actually find out. As I said before, Renault actually now has Daniel Ricciardo, who actually replaces Carlos Sainz, who used to be Nico Hulkenberg's partner. So nothing too interesting there. McLaren though, McLaren is really interesting because they haven't got just one new driver, but two drivers. Fernando Alonso retired, still in McLaren, but not as a driver. He's sort of like a engineer consultant or something like that, because basically it was Team Alonso anyway. So why not have Alonso contribute to the team in a technical standpoint? And Stoffel van Dorn didn't actually live up to expectations, so they booted him out the front door. So instead, they actually put Carlos Sainz, which Carlos Sainz is a really good driver, and Lando Norris, which now you see Lando Norris is an interesting one because he's an old Formula 2 driver who was a Formula 2 driver for McLaren, I believe. Someone will let me know in the comments. And he was really good in Formula 2. Now, whether this can actually, I hope that this helps McLaren actually budge themselves up to a status where they can actually start to compete for trophies again, which I hope they get well. Moving on to Force India, who actually I shouldn't say Force India anymore. This is going to get confusing for me because Force India went into administration, which basically means that if they couldn't find a buyer between a certain amount of time, they will have to shut down. Luckily, they found a buyer who bought the company. Lawrence Stroll bought Red Bull, not Red Bull, sorry, Force India. See, I'm confusing myself, and is now calling it the Racing Point F1 team. And they have Sergio Perez and kind of the controversial one, Lance Stroll. Now, why is this controversial? Lance Stroll, so I maintain, and I think that the rest of the actual F1 community actually maintains, that Lance Stroll was only put in there because of his father. His father owns Force India now. He used to own Williams. He drove for Williams. Now that Lawrence Stroll's actually moved to Racing Point, Lance Stroll now is their second driver, getting rid of Esteban Ocon. Ocon was one of the best drivers in Formula 1. Why the hell would you do that? But that means he's now a reserve driver for Mercedes. So maybe if Bottas doesn't live up to expectations, because I can guarantee that if Bottas doesn't actually live up to Toto Wolff's expectations, actually like winning races, beating Hamilton and all that, then I reckon by the end of 2019 Bottas is going to get the boot. And maybe Esteban Ocon can actually go in and race. So that's something to keep an eye out for, and wherever or not it'll happen, we'll see. Now moving on to Alfa Romeo Racing / Sauber, if you really want to be purist. As I said before, Kimi Räikkönen is now a driver for Sauber, as well as, I'm going to get this name right, Antonio Giovinazzi. I don't know if I actually pronounced that name right. If I have, yes. If I haven't, I'll probably get blasted in the comments anyway. But yeah, Kimi did not like Ferrari. I mean, I would actually say that Kimi should retire, but this is probably as close to retirement as he's going to get, because I think he's accepted that he's not going to win any world championships. I think that he's actually just wanting to actually drive cars, not be part of like a huge corporate team that actually has like a set mandate, which is to beat Sebastian Vettel, who is a very good driver. Although Charles Leclerc can actually be. Anyways, moving on to Toro Rosso, who again have a new lineup. They have Alexander Albon from a Formula 2 racer. You could sort of spot the theme with a lot of these racers, can't you? And a driver that I did not expect actually coming back, Daniel Kvyat. Now, Kvyat is actually an interesting choice because Kvyat isn't really a bad driver. Given the right car, he can actually start to perform a lot. And Alexander Albon, I've seen him racing in Formula 2. He's actually a very good driver, as is Lando Norris, who I think won Formula 2, and that's how he got to Formula 1. Yeah. So yeah, that's Toro Rosso's lineup. And the last team that actually has a changed lineup is Williams, who has an all-new lineup with George Russell, again. I hate to beat my own trumpet, Formula 2 driver. And this one isn't a Formula 1, actually a Formula 2 driver. Was a Formula 1 racing driver. But I bet you nobody expected him to come back. That's right, Robert Kubica, or Kubica, however you pronounce it. Now, Kubica was one of the best drivers out there in the grid. Now, he was actually able to compete with the likes of Sebastian Vettel, who at the time was in his Ferrari prime, who was in his Red Bull prime, who actually was able to actually beat the German. However, he won't be able to do that in Williams, but I think he might be able to actually restore some credibility to Williams, who desperately need it. Now, all this lineup means that for the first time since 1950, this is probably the youngest driver lineup in about 69 years of the sport. Now, again, actually, but more pressing for Ferrari is that their old boss, I'll leave his name actually right here, he's actually left Ferrari. Well, I don't know if it's left or it's been sacked. Instead, he has this new guy, I'll put his name in here, come in and actually try and see if they can actually do a new change plan, see if they can actually start coming up with a new plan to actually get them to win races. Because I know that Charles Leclerc and Sebastian Vettel, those two are going to be a force to be reckoned with for the likes of Mercedes, who, honestly, they've been dominating 2018. 2019 is probably going to be an exciting one for the top three teams, Red Bull, Mercedes, and Ferrari, to actually compete in. Sticking with Mercedes, this is probably going to be the most important season for Lewis Hamilton. Reason why? The facts are this. He is on a 5-time world champion streak. Or I believe he's either on a 4 or 5-time world championship stake in a row. Now, if he wins, actually, the reason why this is so important, actually, this is probably the most important one for him. If he wins this championship, he will probably go down in history as the greatest driver in the history of the sport. Reason why? He will have won 6 world championships back to back. The only other person that's done 5 the only person who's done 5 world championships, Michael Schumacher, who is universally known, although I disagree, is the best Formula 1 driver out there. And Michael Schumacher, please recover. But yeah, so that is why Hamilton is actually going to be more determined to actually to make sure that his car is running better, make sure that he wins races, make sure that he's actually getting enough points to actually secure his 6th world championship title. But as I said before, he has a huge fight on his hands. It's not going to be an easy one, but Hamilton may be able to actually push it. Although I'll probably say my actual predictions later. some new rules to the actual. Some new rules actually got introduced as well. DRS now has a bigger impact. That actually gives out more horsepower or more speed whenever you push it, meaning that you can actually flow a little bit more, you can go a lot more faster on the straights. And with the new wings, new front and rear wings being wider, mounted higher up, and being more simplified, so that means it'll actually be more aerodynamic. You can guarantee that this season is going to be full of overtakes. Actually, a lot of like close quarters, wheel-to-wheel action. That's 2018 wasn't short of those either. Don't get me wrong, but 2019 I feel is going to have a lot more of them. And another new rule, kind of a controversial one. The fastest lap at the end of each race, the driver gets 1 additional point. Now, let me just stop right there. A lot of people in the F1 community have been going nuts about this, saying that it ruins the sport and that all drivers just need to do is get the fastest. Consider the following: there are 24 points actually in stake for in all the races. However, the only thing is the only way that you can actually obtain the fastest lap point is if you get the fastest lap and you're above the top 10. If you're not in the top 10, not in the World Championship, but in the race, if you're not in the top 10 in the race and you do get the fastest lap, you don't get the point. Which I can kind of see on the surface is a good thing, but if you stop and think about it, knowing Formula One, it can have the dangerous tenacity to actually backfire on them huge. Now, honestly, for me, I think that it's time for my predictions for this season. Now, my predictions, I'm going to start with constructors. I mean, it's going to be a close one between the top 3 teams, Ferrari, Red Bull, and Mercedes, on who will win the constructors side. That's not really the interesting part. The interesting part is the battle for 4th between Renault and Haas. Now, both teams are really good. One team's actually stuck with the same drivers. The other has put in a new one, a new, more experienced one, who has pedigree, who has been proven to actually be good at overtaking and everything else, and being good on a fast lap as well. But Haas, I don't know, Haas has actually been feeling more consistent, more better, and honestly, their drivers are actually better. I mean, Romain Grosjean is a really good driver. If he can keep his temperament to an nth degree, if he performs the same way as he did during the last half of 2018 rather than the first half, then he might have a chance to actually boost Haas's credibility up and get them to the coveted 4th position. But so for me, it's going to be a close one between Haas and Renault. It's not going to be a lot in it, but I predict that Haas are going to actually end up being 4th. Why? Because both of their drivers are really good. Their team actually knows what they're doing. They really have put a lot of money in actually doing so. And whilst they don't have the money and the resources of Renault, that doesn't stop them from actually being determined to actually win the coveted 4th place spot. And during their considering that it's only their I think it's their 4th or 5th season, they're the youngest team out there. They're the new boys. And for them to actually be in the position that they are now is actually pretty incredible once you think about it. But the actual main one, the main prediction for me, who's going to win the World Championship? Who is going to be the 2019 Formula One World Drivers Champion? Now, this is a tough one for me. I've narrowed it down. Actually, I could only narrow it down to 3 drivers. My 2018 prediction, well, we know how that went, Max Verstappen. the current champ, Lewis Hamilton, and a surprising one, but at the same time not really surprising, Charles Leclerc. Reasons why. Hamilton is seasoned. He knows what he's doing, and the team is always behind him. Max Verstappen keeps improving on his performances and is very consistent throughout. Charles Leclerc, he's proven that he's capable of actually getting a lot of points in a low horsepower, in a lower tier Formula 1 car. Imagine what he would be like in a Ferrari. And it helps that that the Ferraris were actually the fastest in testing, which actually helps Charles Leclerc's chances. The Red Bulls have been really fast too, with Max Verstappen putting in very good times in practice. But honestly, Hamilton, for me, it's all or nothing for Hamilton. He will actually be determined to actually get that 6th World Championship, to carve his name into the edges of his heroes, Ayrton Senna, Michael Schumacher, Jackie Stewart, all these people and more. He will be etched into the Formula 1 Hall of Fame if he wins this World Championship. So while it's going to be a close battle between Verstappen, Hamilton, who I reckon are going to fight quite a lot, because we've seen on 2018 season that they've actually been fighting a lot on the track, that it's been a lot of aggressive moves on Verstappen's part, on Hamilton's part, and it's going to boil down to really exciting racing between the young Austrian, I believe, young Austrian from Red Bull, and the Brit from Mercedes. But I think it's going to be a bold claim for me, but I predict whilst those two will be battling it out, I reckon that the rookie sensation for Ferrari, the rookie young driver gamble, Charles Leclerc, will actually pay off and will actually win the Formula 1 World Championship. It's a bold claim, I know, but I'm really confident in Leclerc. Leclerc, I went from being it's a Sauber driver, so I wouldn't pay that much attention, to, oh my god, this driver is actually very good. It's like Pascal Wehrlein now that he's in Formula E. Which, I don't know, do you guys want me to watch Formula E? I may actually watch it. If you want me to, leave it in the comments. But yeah, I reckon Charles Leclerc is going to end up on top with either Max Verstappen or Lewis Hamilton in 2nd place. Probably, I hate to say it, Hamilton probably edging out Verstappen in 2nd place, with Verstappen being 3rd and maybe Sebastian Vettel, and probably Sebastian Vettel in 4th. But yeah, those are my predictions for the 2019. I keep wanting to say 2018. Those are my predictions for the 2019 season of Formula 1. What do you guys think? Do you think Haas will actually be able to take 4th place after losing it to Renault in last year? Do you think I'm right saying that Charles Leclerc will actually win the Formula 1 World Championship this year? And also, more importantly, what do you guys think about the new rule changes, new tyre setups, everything about Formula 1? Whatever your thoughts, whatever your opinions, I encourage you guys to leave it in the comments down below. But for now, I'm afraid that is all the time we have for today. We hope you guys did enjoy it. If you did, please smash the thumbs up button, subscribe if you're new to the channel, and if you're not new, then do not forget to click the bell icon to get notified on all of our upcoming videos and more from the F1 show. So until next time, guys, we'll see you in the next video. So until then, it's your boy SaintsKnight here, signing off. Peace.